Hi there. In this video, we're going to be looking at the influences in establishing a small to medium enterprise, but more specifically looking at the legal considerations, human resource needs, and taxation obligations. So firstly, looking at legal considerations. The very first thing you need to look at here is the business name registration. Now, unless the name of the business is going to be simply the name of the owner, every business name must be registered. So, for example, if your name is Joe Blogs and your business is just going to be known as Joe Blogs, then you don't need to actually register your business name. However, the moment where you add something else, so for example, Joe Blogs Mechanics, or Joe Blogs Bakery, or Joe Blogs Pty Ltd, Proprietary Limited, you need to register your business name. And registering your name doesn't protect it. Okay, it doesn't mean that it automatically becomes copyrighted. In order for that to happen, you need to register it with the Federal Australian agency, IP Australia, or Intellectual Property Australia, and register it as a trademark then. So just simply having a business name does not protect it. Another legal consideration you need to take into account is zoning. Now, this is the purview. This is in the realm of local government. And this is to... The aim of these is to separate the activities that aren't related at all. So, for example, it protects, say, for example, residential areas from having industrial complexes built up in the middle. So, for example, if you're opening up or wanting to open up a factory that has a 24-hour shift and you're going to be making a lot of noise, well then, the zoning regulations are such that that business must be located in an area away from residential areas, with appropriate transport or road access to not negatively affect the surrounding areas. So if you're looking at opening up a business in your backyard, for example, in the garage, you need to make sure with council that you fit the zoning regulations for that kind of business that you're wanting to open. Some other ones are health regulations. Now, this again, it's in the purview, it's in the realm of local government. Now, these more or less are more to do with businesses dealing with food. So, making sure that the food is stored at a correct temperature. Okay, making sure that the kitchen's laid out in a way that promotes WHS and stops the spread of germs. Making sure that the employees are actually wearing appropriate clothing, appropriate protective wear. Looking also at how long the food is kept. So if it's kept in a bain-marie, for example, how long is it kept there for? If it's kept fresh in in a display cabinet, how long it's kept there for? And making sure that you actually know how to handle food properly. You're wearing the appropriate equipment for that. Now, there is a lot of councils participate in what's called the Scores Indoors program, and what that does is it's a little certificate that you can get that is on your window of your business that looking at a 5-star rating for excellent, 4-star for very good, 3 for good. So basically scaling down from excellent, very good, good, and then down the other end of the spectrum where it's not so good. It allows customers to have a look at and see, well, okay, so if this business is rated as excellent for hygiene and food safety, you can eat there without really risk of getting ill. Of course, there are circumstances beyond people's control, so it doesn't matter if they are excellent. There's always something that could happen. However, there's a less chance of you getting sick or finding pests or anything that's in that food store because the council inspectors have actually deemed it to be excellent. And having that sort of certificate on your front door as well, or on your front window, really will be a boost for business, because if you can show to people that you've got an excellent business in terms of food safety, then you're more likely to get more customers as a result. Now we've got some other legal considerations as well. We've got the Competition and Consumer Law, which used to be known as the Trade Practices Act, and this is legislation that's designed to protect consumers from things such as misleading or deceptive conduct, so false advertising, unconscionable conduct, bait advertising, where they draw you in with one thing, but then when you get there, that that item is no longer available, and they try to you know get you to buy something else. Or referral selling, so offering you goods or services or discounts if you tell a friend or bring a friend with you. It also regulates trade practices from businesses such as price fixing, where they might get together with suppliers and fix a price in order to gouge customers, or price discrimination, where depending on where you live, you get charged different things. So you might live in Sydney, metropolitan Sydney, you get charged one price for an item, but you live a couple of kilometres away in a low SES area, and they might charge you a different price altogether. And that's so this law is there to stop that from happening. Then we've got move on to human resources. Now we've already looked at human resources, so again, this is just another look at You need to keep this in mind in terms of skilled employees. Obviously, are going to be more productive and create wealth for the business. So, if they're not being productive, then the employers really need to look at, well, how can we make them more productive? And that's training. Okay, training and development. Being able to send them on a course or some sort of certification process where they come back and able to boost their productivity, because investing in an employee is really one of the best things a business can do. It's the hope that for every dollar you put into an employee's training, they bring back many more dollars in productivity and sales of products. So it's an investment for the business to spend money to get employees trained and up to standards. We've also got the costs that you need to take into consideration as well. The wage and non-wage. So the wage costs, obviously, we know that there's that salary, the money you actually need to pay your staff members. And then we've got non-wage, so, the on-costs. And there's a lot of these, we've got long service leave, where you have to pay them. We've got sick leave, they take a day off, you still need to pay them for that day. There's superannuation, you need to pay them. There's parental leave, maternity or paternal leave. We'll look at superannuation a bit more specifically now. It was 9%, it's now 9.5%. Now, this is on top of your monetary earnings. So it's not the taken out or deducted from how much you earn, it's on top of how much you earn. Now, the whole goal of this is that it's put into a superannuation fund where you really can't access until you retire. Now, the government brought this in a while ago in order to stop people relying solely on the government pension when they retired, basically forcing people here to save for their own retirement. Okay? Now, again, superannuation, it is a bit of a gamble as well, because you might end up with nothing in the end, depending on how well your superannuation fund performs. Now, generally, they do quite well. You're not going to be sitting on a couple of $1 million when you retire, but enough to keep you comfortable in retirement. The global financial crisis, almost 10 years ago now, really put a dent in people's superannuation funds, where people that were close to retirement actually needed to go back to work in order to save up a bit more so they could retire. So again, it's like playing the stock market, because essentially that's really what it is. What the superannuation fund managers do is they take all the money that your employer puts aside for you, and they invest in property, they invest in shares, they invest in currency, with the aim of making you more money for when you retire. But again, it's a bit of a gamble. And then another on-cost here we have is the annual leave loading. So that's 17.5% on top of your holiday pay. Okay. A bit of a bonus if you want to look at it like that. And then finally, we've got taxation. Now, there's a couple of federal state tax obligations here. We've got company tax, so a flat 30% rate that companies pay on their net profit. Now, this is different if you're a sole trader or a partner or in a partnership, mainly because sole traders, and if you're in a partnership, you pay your taxes based on an individual. So you'll pay whatever tax bracket you are. If you're a company, you pay a flat rate of 30%. We've got payroll tax, which is paid on essentially how much the total wages you pay all your staff. We've got stamp duty, which is a fee levied on, transactions. So when you buy houses or land, and capital gains tax, the money that a tax you pay on how much you earn from selling selling assets that benefit your business. Now, once probably the most important federal tax obligation here is the goods and services tax, the GST. Now, this came in quite a while ago to replace a series of other taxes. Prior to the GST, we had, we had luxury goods tax, we had sales tax, we had a lot of other taxes. So the point of this was to get rid of everything and just have one single broad-based tax on most goods and services. There are some things that are still exempt from the GST, and there's a lot of talk on should those things that are exempt now come into the GST, but it's 10%. Now, it's paid for or collected on behalf of the government by the businesses. Now, it is a requirement that businesses include the GST price on anything they advertise or quote you. You can't drive down the street and see a billboard that says $100 for this new product plus GST. It needs to say $110 including GST. And that's to allow customers the full scope of seeing how much they actually are paying for something. And then we've got the Australian business number, the ABN. Now, much like an individual tax file number that identifies you for tax purposes, the ABN is a single identifying number for businesses. So when they deal with the government, the government knows exactly who they are and what business they are. And if you want to be part of the GST system and collect GST and claim GST credits, you need to have an ABN. And then finally, we've got local government rates and charges. So, you're paying for the water and sewerage, you're paying for waste management. And that's something that you pay as a resident as well when you pay your council rate. So it's not much different for businesses. The only thing that'll be different is the actual how much they pay itself, the rate itself. Well, I hope that this video has given you enough information to look at things like legal regulations and considerations, HR, human resources, and taxation regulations. Now, I have already made some videos on HR that you might want to look at as well. So I hope this information has been valuable to you. Thank you.